German-born Uwe Morawitz established the International Peace Foundation, a non-political independent foundation based in Vienna over 12 years ago in 1999, under the patronage of 21 Nobel Peace Prize laureates. In 2001, he was invited by the Thai government to initiate an event series called Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace. After the success of Bridges in Thailand, Uwe Morawitz and the International Peace Foundation were invited by the governments of ASEAN member states to build further bridges towards peace and international understanding. To date, 38 Nobel laureates and 18 other keynote speakers and artists have participated in the ASEAN Bridges events, which have so far reached a total audience of 140,000 participants, garnering support from 106 different sponsors, mainly from the private sector.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talk Vietnam. Born in Germany, our guest today has realized since an early age that there should be no borders between people, only bridges. Bridges to peace that's available to all and not only the elite few. He has discovered a new art form, the art of bringing people together for the purpose of building a new culture of peace. As chairman of the International Peace Foundation, he has personally worked with 68 Nobel Prize winners and soon will bring 4 laureates to Vietnam for speeches on the subject. It's an honor to welcome our guest today, Mr. Uwe Morawitz, on our show today. Welcome, Uwe.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I know you're quite in a hurry to do your project, so thank you for taking your time to join us. Let's jump straight in. My first question, what gave you the idea to found the International Peace Foundation? How did it all begin?
You mentioned I was born in Germany, and actually I was living in Berlin as an artist, as a writer. And I was there when the wall came down in 1889 in November, and this was such a moving experience personally that I actually, as a writer, wanted to bring people together who speak different languages, especially in such a situation where there have been so many misconceptions between East and West. I was living in a city with a wall. I couldn't go to the east of the city, and so it was my aim to create an independent platform for dialogue. Yeah. So it is also so that as a writer, I experienced that even if we all speak German, we speak different languages. Politicians speak another language than artists, artists speak another language than scientists, scientists speak another language than people from the economy or people from religion or the media, and somehow all these different language groups, they think they have the solution to problems, how to solve different problems in the world and to achieve peace, though I think that peace can only be achieved by working together. Yeah. So, and this is why we wanted to create a platform where people from politics, science, culture, religion, businessmen and women come together to try to understand each other and to work with each other. And especially in such a time after the Cold War, it was important to create such platforms between East and West Germany first, and later also East and West Europe, and later the world. So this idea I shared also with some Nobel laureates, and so there have been 21 Nobel Peace laureates taking over the patronage for the program because they thought, I mean, it is a fascinating idea. So I had basically help from the beginning from prominent people. And this extended, then we organized the first events, and then this extended then to about 700 events we have organized over the past years in Europe alone.
That is the main mission of the foundation.
So we are non-political, we are non-religious, we are not taking sides, but as I said, want to create this platform for dialogue in which these different language groups come together and work together. Because very seldom that they, I mean, okay, on the one hand side they speak different languages, they understand different things under different terms, but even they very seldom talk to each other. So this is why it's important to have such platforms for dialogue. Yes, we think, I think that the first step towards peace is dialogue, and certainly respect, and the eagerness to learn from each other, because dialogue is something different than a discussion. Because in a discussion, let's say you try to fight for your position until the bitter end, but a dialogue starts with listening.
Yes.
So a dialogue is a learning process automatically. So to see, I mean, from the things which I have learned through listening and responding to it, how we can, how two different parts can work together.
Yeah.
So, and the other message or important thing is that one to integrate, I mean, into this process, okay, famous people, but also the young generation, because they are the ones to determine the future. So, and this is why we have always worked a lot with schools and with universities, because we think the basis for peace is education.
Yes.
So this is why we try also to build bridges between people who won the Nobel Prize with universities and schools. And since most of the Nobel laureates, I mean, they come from the Western world, I mean, from the United States or Europe, we invite them now here to Southeast Asia to build these bridges towards a culture of peace.
That's great. Uwe Moravec and the International Peace Foundation have so far successfully facilitated a series of events called Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Piece of Culture in Cambodia, the Philippines, and Thailand. Let's take a look.
In 2001, Uwe Moravec, chairman of the International Peace Foundation, was invited by the Thai government to initiate an event series called Bridges, Dialogues Towards a Culture of Peace, as an independent contribution to the United Nations Decade for a Culture of Peace and Nonviolence. The events brought 26 Nobel laureates for peace, physics, chemistry, medicine, and economics, and other personalities and artists, including Hans Blix, Gareth Evans, the Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr., Vanessa May, Jesse Norman, and Dame Anita Roddick, as keynote speakers to all parts of Thailand, reaching an audience of 70,000 participants through cooperation with local universities and other institutions. After the success of Bridges in Thailand, Uwe Moravec and the International Peace Foundation have been invited by the governments of ASEAN countries to build further bridges towards peace and international understanding by expanding the Bridges program beyond Thailand. The first ASEAN Bridges series opened in the Philippines and Thailand from late 2007 to early 2008. The second ASEAN Bridges series occurred in Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand the following year. The third ASEAN Bridges series was held in Cambodia, the Philippines, and Thailand the year after, with the participation of 5 Nobel laureates as well as movie star Jackie Chan and Hollywood filmmaker Oliver Stone.
Of all your achievements, which are the most that you're most proud of?
Proud is a difficult word, but because you see, I have never worked for money. I have always done what I love to do. So, and I think also for the young generation, if they take courage into the abilities that they are able to do and change the world, and not only look towards where can I make the most money, where can I have the best career, the best job, but first start to think, what are my abilities? Where am I good at? And what do I like to do to help also bring a change into this world? So this is why maybe starting early in life, I used to compose music. So I was composing and I was playing the piano and I was singing in a choir. So this was very fulfilling. And also then at 13 my voice started to break. And then I continued to play football. So I was a goalkeeper in Freiburg in Germany until my arm broke. And then actually I started to write poetry. And at 17 my first book was published. So, and it was sold quite well. In the course of my life I published 4 poetry books until I was 23 or so. So, but then what happened, I went to Berlin and I performed with artists. So my poetry was performed by dancers, musicians, actors on stage. And then that was the time when the wall came down. And that was the time then when I started with this program of the International Peace Foundation. And since then, as I said, we have organized about 700 events in Europe. And I mean, the events were always different. We have worked with 600 different keynote speakers and with an audience of more than 100,000 people only in Europe. Since we have been doing this program here in Southeast Asia, let's say the most important thing, of course, we invite these Nobel laureates to come and speak, but we also invite them to come here to listen, because you see, they come here to this part of the world not only for one speech, because normally it is so what the Nobel laureates see when they visit another country, they see airports and hotels. Because they simply have a lot of pressure on the time. So now, in this case of bridges, we try them to stay in the country, in the region, as long as possible, so that they understand more about Thailand, about the Philippines, now about Vietnam. So to see how they can be of use for the country in the long run. We're not inviting them to just come here to give a lecture, but we come here for them to learn more about the Vietnam. So this is why we bring them together with all groups of society. While we have been preparing these Bridges events now, over 2 years, we had about 400 meetings. So every time, basically, we come to a country, we cannot import something which we have done in another country here to Vietnam, because all the countries in Southeast Asia in the world are different. So the first step always starts with listening. So to meet people, to get people involved in the idea, and to see how it can be realized together. So, as I said, we had, over the period of 2 years here in Vietnam, now 400 meetings with, I mean, schools, with universities, with NGOs, with people from the business side, up to the Prime Minister, who is now then accepted to become the honorary chairman of Bridges in Vietnam, and to receive also several of the speakers while they are here. And what we want as one of the results of the outcomes here in Vietnam, what happened in other countries, is that the Nobel laureates fall in love with Vietnam, that they come back more often in the future, that they become Vietnam and goodwill ambassadors to the world, because there's still a lot of misconceptions about this country, about Cambodia, when it happened in the West. So Cambodia, they know about the Khmer Rouge. Vietnam, they know about the American War, and so. But what Vietnam really is, very few people grasp in the West. So this is why we want them to come here to see with their own eyes about the youthfulness of the people, about the prospects, about all the possibilities here of the country, and to see how they can work together. And in the future, of course, that more Nobel laureates come here and be of service to the country and of the development, especially in the field of education. This is why we work with the Ministry of Education and Training, who is the main focal point here in Vietnam of these events. So it's the first time now these Nobel laureates come here. Very new experience, and they stay here not only for a day or two, but for various days to meet with different groups of people. And then, as one of the successes has been of the last Bridges event, we hope that they start research programs with the universities here, that they invite students from Vietnam maybe to work in their labs abroad, like in the field of Nobel laureates for physics or chemistry. So all these things happened in other countries, and this is why Bridges has become a sustainable success and not a one-time event.
For the first time, 4 Nobel laureates will come to Vietnam as keynote speakers for the 4th ASEAN Bridges event series, to be hosted through the International Peace Foundation. Talk Vietnam has the honor of presenting exclusive interviews with 3 of them. In December 2012, Professor Harald Thorhausen awarded the Nobel Prize in 2008 for his discovery that the human papillomavirus causes cervical cancer, the second most common cancer among women. Professor Douglas D. Ashraf awarded the Nobel Prize in 1996 for his discovery of superfluidity in the isotope helium-3. And in January 2013, Professor Sir Harold W. Kroto awarded the Nobel Prize in 1996 for his discovery of the carbon compounds called fullerenes, or C60. Email us at talkvietnam@vtv.vn for any questions you'd like to ask the Nobel laureates as special guests to Talk Vietnam. Let us bridge you with the Nobel laureates in the upcoming original editions of Talk Vietnam on VTV1 and VTV4.
So you've mentioned that you're working with the Ministry of Education and Training. Can you tell us about some educational programs you've initiated?
I mean, Bridges is the educational program which we are doing now. That's the first event series here in Vietnam. And it is so that Bridges has been taking place in Southeast Asia now since 2003. It started in Thailand, and the first 3 years we only focused on Thailand because we have been invited by the Thai government to do these programs. And then after that, actually, we did not think, I mean, to expand to other countries in the region, but because of the success of the program in Thailand, we have been invited also through the ambassadors of other ASEAN countries stationed in Thailand to do these programs in other countries. So now every year another country in Southeast Asia is the host. Philippines followed Thailand, and then it was Malaysia, and then it was Cambodia. Now it's the turn of Vietnam. And after Vietnam, the event series will take place in Singapore, Indonesia, Laos, Brunei, Myanmar, and possibly Timor-Leste if it becomes an ASEAN member. So now we are focusing only on the ASEAN countries. Why? Because Nobel laureates, when they visit this part of the world, normally they go to China, to South Korea, to Taiwan, or to Japan. So more the countries who have a little bit more money, so they can pay the Nobel laureates also a good honorarium. But very seldom the Nobel laureates come to Southeast Asia, to ASEAN countries, with the exception of Singapore. This is why we are focusing on these countries. And what is also special is that all these Nobel laureates come and donate their time for free. So they come without any honorarium, which is seldom, because in the field of economics, for example, the Nobel laureates get paid $150,000 for a speech. But in this case, all the Nobel laureates come without any honorarium. Of course, we have to take care for their travel expenses and hotel and accommodation and so on. But they donate their time for free. And this is very special. So, and also it is so that normally you see, well, you have a conference for 3 days, 4 days, maybe something like a big firework, and then everything is over again and forgotten. Now, in the case of Bridges, it is always so that the events take place for a period of 5 to 6 months. So each of the Nobel laureates, they come here not all at once, but separately. So 1 or 2 every month, and they stay here for a number of days. So this means peace also is approached from various angles. Nobel laureates for medicine, Nobel laureates for chemistry, Nobel laureate for economics, Nobel laureates for physics come here, as well as other speakers like Ngo Bao Chao, for example, and Romano Prodi, the former president of the European Commission, to share their experience here with Vietnam. So it's a period of 5 months. So this means peace, and the issue of peace and the issue of education as a basis for peace is constantly in the eyes of the people here in Vietnam and abroad over the period of 5 months. So, and this is why more and more people from each event get more interested in the program. And also, as all the events are open and free for the public, more people would like to join, enter into a dialogue with these Nobel laureates to make it more exciting. Because, as I said, the Nobel laureates want to give their knowledge and wisdom to the people of Vietnam, but they will also want to gain something from their experience in Vietnam and take something home to share with the world. So this is why it's always a two-way process. It's not a speech only, it's a dialogue. The events are dialogue-oriented, and this is what makes it very exciting. Through dialogue, people get heard, and also understood. Trust is gained, friendships are made, and this is the basis of personal relationships. So this is why we are very personal with the Nobel laureates. We have worked with many in the past, and they have very much valued this experience because it's something about really building friendships. It's not something about coming here, giving a speech and getting money. It's not about this. It's about building these long-term bridges. This is, I mean, what makes it sustainable. So we also hope that maybe Vietnamese students get invited to go to the United States or go to countries in Europe and study with the Nobel laureates or work with them. But also that these Nobel laureates come back and stay here, like in Thailand, for example, for up to 3 months and start research programs with the universities. So to make this a long-term success for the country.
Yeah, that's great.
All speeches are free and open to the public. For more information, please visit www.peace-foundation.net.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your most prominent contributors and their efforts?
That's a difficult question because all of them are prominent in their way. Yeah, so difficult now. We have worked, as you mentioned before, with 68 Nobel laureates, but a total of 600 speakers. So out of these 600 speakers, to pick 1 or 2 is always difficult.
So you mentioned you've personally worked with 68 Nobel Prize winners on various projects, and 240,000 people have participated in your events. Can you tell me, how was it possible for you to build such an impressive network?
Yeah, I mean, with an idea. The idea I already mentioned in the beginning. So there was this idea. I'm also not a rich person, you see. It's just something which materializes out of an idea. Yeah. So this means I just did not, I mean, have the possibility. That's also how you can establish a network, by paying people to participate. But all of our speakers, all of the people who have participated in the Peace Foundation programs, they've always come without any honorarium. So it's not the money, it's the idea. So the idea of bringing people together from different language groups to work together. So, and as I said, we started very small, with small events in Germany at that time, in Berlin, after the fall of the Berlin Wall. But then it spread, and these people talked to other people, and then it was not so difficult, I mean, to get other people invited who are famous and well-known to participate in these events. Also, from my background as a writer and as an artist, I knew some artists like Richard Gere. So, but then there have been others participating in the events, like Oliver Stone, for example, the Hollywood film director, or Roman Polanski, Milos Forman. I mean, different directors, but also many, many artists. So, and also through these artists, we have also raised the awareness for culture of peace, because they were not performing for money, but they were performing in cases, for example, like Jesse Norman in Thailand, Vanessa May, and various others who we organized concerts through the Bridges series. We also, besides the thing to support education, we have also always supported humanitarian programs. So we have tried to raise, or we have raised funds, I mean, with these concerts, and then donated all the money to street children and people with AIDS in the slums of Bangkok. We have also built schools in the rural parts of Thailand together with the support foundation of Her Majesty the Queen. We have also helped tsunami victims after the tsunami happened in Thailand, and many other programs. So the one thing is, yes, education, but the other thing is also keep in mind mind, of course, humanitarian issues. So with the help of Jackie Chan, he was a participant recently and is also a supporter of the program here in Vietnam, and also with other prominent speakers, we have always supported humanitarian programs through UNICEF, for example, as well as UNESCO.
I'll go back to what you said earlier. You worked with Richard Gere and Jackie Chan and other famous people, famous politicians, Nobel Prize winners. It must be really hard to schedule their talks, seeing as I'm sure their lives are as busy as yours.
Right. It's let's say, with the Nobel laureates, yes, especially the Nobel laureates in science and economics, they schedule about 2 or 3 years in advance. So it's important. You see, I'm coming from Germany, so I like to schedule also far time in advance. So I try to be organized, but somehow, I mean, working in countries in different parts of the world, you have to be flexible as well. So it's always you have to be forward-looking, but you have to be flexible also when it comes to certain times. So an important thing is to contact the Nobel laureates also long time in advance. Now, it is also so that the Nobel laureates, in this case Vietnam, because they have been informed by other Nobel laureates who participated in past events, and they said, okay, now I want to go to Vietnam, because that's a specific country I'm interested in. So it's also that the Nobel laureates choose which country they would like to support our activities. So, and in the case of the Nobel laureates coming now, I mean, they are really interested in Vietnam. So it's important to schedule a long time in advance. But then also to be flexible. With the artists, it's a little bit difficult. Sometimes they're shooting a movie or they're doing concerts. So with the artists, sometimes you can only schedule maybe 3 months until 6 months in advance. So yeah, this is important. I mean, to keep the time factor in mind.
For the first time, 4 Nobel laureates will come to Vietnam as keynote speakers for the 4th ASEAN Bridges event series, to be hosted through the International Peace Foundation. Talk Vietnam has the honor of presenting exclusive interviews with 3 of them. In December 2012, Professor Harald Thorhausen awarded the Nobel Prize in 2008 for his discovery that the human papillomavirus causes cervical cancer, the second most common cancer among women. Professor Douglas D. Ashraf awarded the Nobel Prize in 1996 for his discovery of superfluidity in the isotope helium-3. And in January 2013, Professor Sir Harold W. Kroto awarded the Nobel Prize in 1996 for his discovery of the carbon compounds called fullerenes, or C60. Email us at talkvietnam@vtv.vn for any questions you'd like to ask the Nobel laureates as special guests to Talk Vietnam. Let us bridge you with the Nobel laureates in the upcoming original editions of Talk Vietnam on VTV1 and VTV4.
So shifting back our focus to Vietnam, can you tell me about the events, the upcoming events in Vietnam, and what are the highlights, and maybe elaborate on why Vietnam this time?
We have been invited by Vietnam following the invitations from Malaysia, Cambodia, the Philippines to do these events. So we are hosting the events in the order how we have been when we have been invited, and we have been invited actually by Vietnam then in 2006, but then in 2006 we had other countries already confirmed. So this is why Vietnam, it's the turn of Vietnam now. So, and basically they are all highlights, because they are all people who won the Nobel Prize in different fields. As I mentioned before, I mean, Roger Myerson, he won the Nobel Prize in economics. He will be speaking at the Foreign Trade University in November on leadership, democracy, and local government. Professor Myerson will speak in a public event at the Foreign Trade University on the 14th of November. But then he will also speak at the Ho Chi Minh Academy of Politics and Public Administration in a closed-door event with policymakers. So it's important always to have, let's say, public events. Everyone is invited, but also to have events which are more focused on specific issues with policymakers and other groups of people like scientists. The next speaker, also coming in November, Professor Harald Thorhausen, a Nobel laureate for medicine. He will talk about cancer prevention as a challenge for global health. He has actually, cervical cancer is an issue, I mean, many women, especially in the developing world, die of cervical cancer. So based on his research, a vaccine has been developed which provides more than 97% of protection from cervical cancer.
Wow.
So, and he will talk about his work, his experiences, and also what this means for the world. He will be going to Ho Chi Minh City, and he will be hosted there by the Vietnam National University in Ho Chi Minh City. But then there will be also a smaller event hosted by the Ho Chi Minh City University of Pharmacy, Medicine and Pharmacy, where he will talk more about his research together with scientists. But then the public event will be at VNU, Ho Chi Minh City. But then he will also speak at the Hanoi Medical University 2 days later.
Yeah.
So he's going to both cities. Professor Osharov, a Nobel laureate for physics, he will talk at the Vietnam National University here in Hanoi in December on how science changes our lives. Professor Harald Kroto, a Nobel laureate for chemistry, he will talk about education, the basis for peace and the key to enlightened global society, also at the Vietnam National University here in Hanoi. Ngo Bao Chao, he will talk about how we learn. A lecture or an event he has never given. He's still working on it now. So we just met him last month in preparations of the events here in Hanoi. But he will also go to Ho Chi Minh City. He will speak at the Ho Chi Minh City Open University. And then in Hanoi, he will speak at the Hanoi University of Science and Technology. That will be in March. And also in March, Romano Prodi, the former president of the European Commission, and who has also been the Prime Minister of Italy twice. He has just been appointed by the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon last week as the UN Special Envoy for the Sahel Zone. So he will be very busy in the next days, but he has confirmed to come in November to talk about globalization and cooperation in the age of globalization, politics and peace. So, and he will be here hosted by the Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam also in March. So these are the highlights, and these are the main speakers visiting Vietnam. But we hope, as said before, that they will come. They will fall in love with the country, with the people, and establish long-term cooperations with the institutions to come back on a more regular basis, and also become ambassadors of Vietnam and invite other Nobel laureates to visit Vietnam in the future.
So that would be one of the goals that you'd like to achieve with these events. Are there any other goals you'd like to achieve, or one ultimate goal?
So you see, basically, we don't have any wishes to achieve. We are just providing an opportunity, and it's up to the Vietnamese people. If we would have aims, about specific outcomes, we are only an independent facilitator. But this is also the power of the events. Because we are empowering the institutions in Vietnam to make use of these visits of Nobel laureates in the best possible way, how they would like them to be useful for the country in the long run. So we facilitate dialogues, meetings, friendships, but then it's up to the institutions in Vietnam to see and to invite Nobel laureates to come back or work together on research programs or other forms of cooperation. So this is why we specifically have not any goals for outcomes, but we can say, I mean, what happened in the past in other countries, and we hope, of course, that long-lasting friendships and cooperation for a better tomorrow will come out of all these, what we're doing here in Vietnam.
That's a beautiful goal. So who is your target audience here in Vietnam? How do you intend to reach them?
So the target audience mainly is the young generation. So students because students, the young generation, is the key to ASEAN's future.
Yeah.
So we want to inspire the young generation, and this is why we work with universities and schools. The university, they are the hosts, the schools are the hosts of the different events, and so this is the main target audience. And we have experience, we know, I mean, the young generation is eager to learn, and they're excited by this once in a lifetime maybe possibility that so many Nobel laureates visit the country in a series of events. The other is, of course, they will meet with the high-ranking officials in the government, on a one-on-one basis. But all the events, though they are hosted at the universities and the students are the main target group, all the events are open and free for the public. As I said, I mean, learning hopefully never ends in life, so we hope many people from different walks of life will participate in the events.
How much do you know about Vietnam, and how did you learn about the country and its people? What did something impress you in particular?
Did something impress me in particular? Yes, the traffic. I mean, the flow of traffic. I have never seen in any country, and have visited more than 100 countries in my work, but I have never seen a traffic flow like this. People on their mobile phones, on their motorbikes, just driving without watching too much. So it's this it's like an intuitive flow. If you would have such a traffic in the Western world, in Germany, where I come from, only accidents. But maybe because of this intuitively, I mean, because the people are in the flow, they are not controlled. They are, at least the traffic is in the flow, and also the people behind the traffic. So that so little accidents really happen is amazing. So this is something I always enjoy when sitting in my safe car, driving through the motorbikes, and how this is possible. I mean, this is always a bewilderment, and this is something I have not figured out totally, but something which I can learn a lot.
Yeah. Besides the ASEAN countries, are you looking at any other countries where you'd like to hold the Bridges events?
Yes, we would like to host Bridges events in the future, God willing, in Cuba. And we have had initial contacts with Mr. Raúl Castro and Fidel Castro, and also some other officials there, and there's an interest because Cuba is a fascinating country. We believe, I mean, such dialogues, which we offer as an independent facilitator, would be, everyone would learn something from it. We are eager to learn from Cuba and their experiences, and Nobel laureates are eager to learn also from the experiences in Cuba. So, but this is only after we finish the ASEAN program, something which we might look to. And we hope also that Vietnam could be a bridge to Cuba, as the friendship is very well in place, and we hope that following the success of Vietnam, maybe also something in Cuba will be possible in the future, and North Korea is also another country.
So you've worked as a peace promoter since 1989. After all this time, what keeps you motivated?
Motivated? I mean, the work in itself. Because, as I said, it's a learning process, and you learn something every day. You meet a lot of people, so you have your ideas, I mean, how things should work, could work, but then others have other ideas, and you learn from their ideas, and together we make it even better. And because we are working with so many young people, students and from schools and universities, they are an inspiration. I mean, their questions, when they ask the questions to the Nobel laureates, when they enter into a dialogue. Because all the events are basically, you see, they are not lectures for 2 hours and then everyone falls asleep and goes home. So no, it's actually only about 30 minutes talk and then engagement through question and answer with the students. So it's a lively process. And I learn through the students, and I learn through the meeting so many interesting people, of course, in my daily work and also in traveling. So in learning about new cultures and having organized now more than 1,000 events over the last 23 years, a lot of, and having seen a lot of come out, and how it can be, what an inspiration it can be for many people, that keeps me motivated also for the future.
Well, thank you, Uwe, for taking your time to join us on the show today. Keep up your good work in promoting peace around the world, and of course we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's all for today's edition of Talk Vietnam. My name's Ola Ding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.